Okay. I think this is a little bit of a rant from a person who is 45, 45 years old. So I'm a Gen Xer and kind of right in the middle of the boomer and millennial mindset and demographic. Gives me a huge benefit, I think, when it comes to looking at money from the old school way, gold, and the new school way, Bitcoin. And I really feel like there's people are missing the connection. The Bitcoiners, I titled this, "What the hell do you know about gold anyways?" Because I got to tell you, even though I'm impressed by some of the folks that are stepping into the market, there's public companies, there's innovators in finance in New York that, for example, has really the closest thing to a Bitcoin fund that exists out there. And essentially, they started a war against gold called Drop Gold. I'm going to be looking up the date of that. I think it was actually a timestamp on the bottom, sort of like it was a Time magazine cover moment. And there's a reason for that, I believe, but it's also really foolish. And that group in New York, they're very smart guys, much more successful than I am, innovators in a lot of different areas, in financial markets, capital markets, illiquid markets, nothing but respect. But it's also, this whole situation with Drop Gold is stupid because, first of all, the most low-hanging fruit of adoption in crypto are gold, people who understand gold investors, gold believers, gold bugs. I mean, it depends on how far you go back, if they're stuck in their ways. I'm going to address that side of the coin next, but they're coming. What it comes down to is that you start to understand the problems with fiat and the fractional banking system, and then learn about hard assets and really money, which is gold and has been for 5,000 years. You want to find the real value in equities, real estate, or whatever it is, price it in gold. You don't price it in dollars, so you can get the real notion of what it is. And that's the benchmark we're working with. And just like with Bitcoin, people are going to want to price, and already do, other cryptocurrencies in Bitcoin, not necessarily fiat. So that's a very, Bitcoin's the most universally used purchasing vehicle in other nations' crypto platforms for other tokens or anything in the crypto sphere. But so I'm a gold bull. I am not a gold bug. I want to make that really clear. There will become a day when I am not so bullish on gold, and I will be reducing my risk, particularly in the offshoots, levered bets in the mining stocks and things of that nature. We're nowhere near that. So I'm just letting you know also, this is my opinion, but Bitcoiners are not only misunderstanding gold and its role versus Bitcoin, but you're going to be wrong. You're going to be wrong in terms of wanting to avoid gold over the next, call it 2 to 5 years. And if you're in the gold side and you're pushing back on Bitcoin, the train's about to leave the station again. I've been talking about Bitcoin since 2016. Our first buy recommendation was at $450. Gold, I bought my first piece in the 400s in 2003. So I've been in these areas it's not just a Johnny come lately. There's been cycles that I've participated in many capital market areas, but also in these two in particular. But here's what I want to touch on, and this is from the hip, but I want to get into more data on this in some of my longer talks. And it has been a real challenge to get my gold investors, I write the gold investment letter, to really take action on Bitcoin. And a lot of people have. Kudos to them. It's not good to really invest a lot of money when you don't understand something. And I really kind of just wanted to make sure that, when gold was around 6,000, coming off of the lows, what was that, December of 18. I just came out, I think it was about Q1 last year, Q2. I basically said to those that had followed me for a long time, if you trust me, you don't get all this, at least buy one Bitcoin for your kids. If they are under, 15 years old, the younger the better. But if I'm correct, Bitcoin is going to where I think it will, or even the minimum range level I think it will, it could pay for your entire college's Ivy League education, including a master's and a doctorate. So some people did that, and they're looking good now. But what many people miss, it's really ironic actually, because Bitcoin and gold are what are the pins and eventual bazookas to the fiat system. Okay? It's not going to be one or the other, because they play two different roles and two different functions. So let me ask you a question. The smartest money in the space, the institutional money, I mean, look at, legends like macro guys like, Novogratz and Raoul Paul from Real Vision and, many, many others that really have identified with Bitcoin as a digital gold alternative store of value, okay? My take, and this comes from somebody who's got well over 20% of my entire net worth in crypto, okay? Over 60% in gold, silver, and related equity positions. I'm all in on this stuff. And it might even be closer to 25 now in crypto, which is about 2/3 Bitcoin. And I don't know if it's 2/3, at least half. And I mean, I'm a venture capital investor. I've been a VC in different firms going back to probably, what was I, 28? So I've been around with venture investments, the greatest VCs in the world, late stage, early stage. I've had, there's skeletons littered with startups that I put money into, and they're collection items. So, I'm comfortable with that level of risk, but I think that the first and foremost move is Bitcoin. And I would say it's 2/3 of my exposure, but then I spread it around with sort of a venture approach. And a lot of these other coins and tokens that I see utility, I see scale, I see disruption. And yeah, they're not equities, but the tokens are going to drive value if their use case grows. But in any event, let's be real. Okay, first of all, go read the white paper again. Electronic peer-to-peer cash. Okay? Did you see anything, maybe I missed it, in the white paper for Bitcoin about being a digital gold? No. And that's okay. But that is the narrative that has come out of the Bitcoin community. And I agree with that as a great analogy. And what I would say from, if you are gloating from the gold crowd, am I spending my gold? If it's money, am I spending my gold? Why would I do that when I think fiat is getting debased? I want to protect my value on net terms, real terms. I will convert my gold to whatever fiat at certain junctures much, much higher and spend it. But right now, people talk about the issues with divisibility with gold and, physical coins and things like that. Here's one quick side note. people, the commercial with people lugging this big bar of gold and dropping it on their foot, and just the problems with that. And certainly Bitcoin has huge advantages in terms of cross-border movement, speed, efficiency, no doubt. But do you realize that everything is getting tokenized? You think gold isn't? I mean, it already digitally is to a degree, but you are going to be able to spend whatever you want. The token coin cryptosphere takeover. You're not going to be able to send $5 in gold. Come on, where's the advantage then? That's what's coming. But the reality is the store of value narrative, okay, is a misnomer for my investment thesis in Bitcoin right now. A future store of value, amen. I'm not in Bitcoin to keep real buying power of net zero against fiat or some modest level of growth. Gold does that job, and it's done it for 5,000 years. I'm sorry. I mean, the first decade that Bitcoin survived and thrived is hugely telling in de-risking the asset class, no question, and it's big. But gold, you think gold's going away after this track record? Even after the boomers are gone, there's no chance. The whole thing is going to grow the investor base in gold and silver when the crypto trillionaires start minting all of their money in the younger generations, because gold is the safest place for my capital in the world. Because I look at durations. I mean, this is a simple example, but it works. I mean, you're talking about almost a century ago. Go into the early 30s, gold's at 30, $35. And the analogy is you could buy a fine custom men's suit for 1 ounce of gold. Today, at $1,900, that still applies for an ounce of gold. But how many more times, what is the dollar terms of that? How many more dollars do you need? I'm not going to do the math, but I think it's something like, 97% debasement-ish, So, when you're talking about, I saw a super savvy public company CEO that put a big chunk of their balance sheet into Bitcoin, and he was lamenting the 2%, this is the thing I want to key in on. Everybody's like, okay, we have this deflationary asset, which is amazing. And gold, when the price goes up, the miners are just gonna, pump out more production and dilute the market. What do you think? This is an oil well? You don't understand the industry at all. You remind me of talking about, a boomer saying something like, the first thought that comes to your mind to reject Bitcoin. Well, there's unlimited because they're just going to keep doing new ones. Okay. What do you feel about that? That's how I view you when you make comments like this. Do you realize that it's taking, on average, a minimum of 15 to 20 years from a gold discovery to starting a mine, financing, building, permitting, all that stuff? There has been a dearth and a lack of investment in the pipeline because gold companies have had to lean down producers to survive since 2011-12 when the market peaked. It's just like every cycle, over-levered at the top, buying companies for ridiculous prices, taking on debt, and then unwinding that, and really expedited an amazing flush in terms of the retracement in gold, but mainly also the gold mining stocks. So I am right in the middle of this industry. And if you think that, first of all, gold isn't even at 2%, supply growth above ground to what exists. Okay, it's about 1.5, maybe 1.7, but it can go to 3, and that's the reason why gold is so great. Do you know what the population growth is of the world? It's the same, and so therefore, net, we have room for that to go up. But I have news for you: if you think that gold mining company can just flip a switch and start pumping out more gold, you're going to start to learn about scarcity in the natural order, and it's impossible to all of a sudden ramp. I mean, they're going to be more motivated, obviously, for profits. But if you can see, and you'll see growth from where we are, but to get from 1.5% to 2 is 30+% in production globally. I don't know, how long does that take? I don't know, but it's not going to happen next year. Let me trust you that. Let me tell you that. I mean, the next few years. So the other thing I just want to point out, Bitcoiners, and I'm one of you. I'm one of both. I want to make this crystal clear. I believe Bitcoin is going to $500,000 to $1 million, and that's the thing. I'm in it not as a store of value to maintain my purchasing power. That's what I do with gold. It is my safe money. My high risk money is in crypto and mining stocks, where I'm looking for minimum 10, 20, 50, 100x on those. And that there's usually a correlated risk to those type of rewards. And we've seen it manifested in the volatility of crypto because of how new it is. And what I've got to say about that is that when you see more mass adoption, and Bitcoin is 700,000, or I don't know what the magic number is, 1.5 million or 400,000, and it's been there and stops, having these 90% retracements on a bust after a new bull market, and they become lessened. The upsides from the last highs in the last 3 cycles have diminished, and then this one may diminish as well from what happened before. Or we could get, I think this one could actually be bigger because of just the stage that it's in than when it went from 1,200 to 20,000. As that, and neither here nor there, but the point being is that people will adopt this as a new form of digital gold store of value when it's less volatile and much more widely accepted. That's not going to be for a decade, I don't think. But listen, if you're all in on BTC and you're not interested in gold, I mean, listen, good luck going through those swings. When you start to make tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, trust me, you want to have some money you can just put away and know that it's not going to, just go away over time and decrease, sitting in a bank account where you're getting paid 20, 30, 50 bips, with fiat being debased in your local currency by 10, 15% a year, which is what's happening in the US right now. So the beauty of all this is that there's so many complements, but gold is my safe place, even though I think the returns will be outsized because it's very cyclical, and we're coming out of a terrible bear market that really just broke out a little over a year ago when it went through 1,400. And the next one is going to blow through the 11 highs. And then that is going to take us, I think, to $2,400 to $2,700 in the first half of 2021. That's my call. I've been wrong on timing before, but I think gold and silver and Bitcoin are going to shock people in the fairly short term. But here's the final major thing I want to say to the Bitcoiners. So you're bashing gold and you don't like it, but the entire thesis of your investment is that it's digital gold or gold 2.0. If you think one of them's trash, why would you invest in the 2.0? You have to realize and believe in and learn about the fundamental reasons for gold's role over millennia as a sound form of money. And I think it's great because this is all educating a whole new couple generations lower that wouldn't have cared much about gold, about the fiat system. And I think that as time goes by and the younger folks have more capital, absolutely, you're going to see a lot of people that will, buy into this narrative, but also, choose Bitcoin like over a gold because of the depreciating nature, the cap on supply, the reduction in supply, the network effect is huge. You cannot minimize that, gold people. That within and of itself, you look at the curve and you're bound to make a fortune if you can stomach it. But listen, why would you're talking about owning digital gold, okay? That's like me saying I'm buying digital fiat, but fiat is a scam. It's backed by nothing. They can print it out of thin air. But this is digital fiat. Like, would you do that? No. You must think it makes sense. So all I'm saying is, first of all, we have an issue with both sides, and it's taken me years and hundreds, if not thousands. It has been thousands of hours of studying all of this stuff. I don't even, maybe what is 10,000 hours? I don't know. A year, that might be the case. I don't know. But in any event, it takes time. I've tried to speed up the gold community to not only get involved in Bitcoin, but then the challenge is how do you get a meaningful amount on the books before it goes instead of play money, which is kind of how most of us started. And on the Bitcoin side, you're foolish if you don't consider the gold community your friend and the most likely candidates to allocate capital to Bitcoin because they understand it. They understand the problems with the fractional reserve banking system and fiat markets and central banks. They understand it. Who understands it in other realms easily? Not many people. And just the whole thesis around these two investments, I think that it makes so much sense to have allocations to both, but for different reasons. I can maintain my purchasing power at a minimum over time in gold. That's not going to change. I don't believe that for a minute. It's not a take money out of here, negative positive effect, mind you. We talk about 200 billion, in Bitcoin. Is it going to start to take market share from gold, which is now 9 trillion or 9 trillion plus? Guys, what's the fiat market? I don't remember the number, but it's something to the effect of like over 100 trillion, like $200 trillion, I think was the last thing I read. That's where it's going to come from. They're both going to grow market share. Hello, the fiat system is going to be reset. Okay? Gold isn't going to go up as much, but it doesn't go down as much. If you want to be able to stomach enormous drawdowns in Bitcoin with no safe money that is more stable and defensive, things that, like gold, can perform in deflationary, inflationary environments, can go up when the dollar is going up, can go down when, the dollar is going up. It's good luck. You better be ready. And you better be a pro. Otherwise, you are going to get smoked at the worst possible times, like everybody does. Doesn't matter about the sector. Everybody meaning people that, 95% of people with money, meaningful money in a space that goes up hundreds of X. I mean, learning how to sell, when to sell in this business is the toughest thing about it, I believe. And I'm pretty good at it. And like, you know, I'll make sure I'm covered with Bitcoin. But the reality is when I start to take off 10, 15, 20, 25, 30x returns in crypto, in Bitcoin, in gold mining stocks, which by the way, I have made 10, 20, 25, 40, 70x my money in the gold miners. It's an amazing market, especially with the fact now that nobody owns it. Same thing with crypto, right? So in any event, I would say let's have more dialogue about this, because for me, it's Bitcoin and gold. Really, it's gold and Bitcoin. Show some respect. Gold's been around for 5,000 years, been around for a decade. Pride comes before the fall, humility before exaltation. Right when you start to pump and start to talk shit, you're going to learn the way of things over that duration. And gold, for a while, is going to carry more weight than BTC. And the fat man can sit on the skinny man if he gets goaded enough. So chill out, guys, and actually do your homework, okay?